Chelsea fans, after that amazing 5-0 victory against Morecambe, we now shift our focus to the Premier League. Chelsea host Bournemouth Tuesday the 14th of January at 7:45 kickoff at Stamford Bridge, and we need to bounce back. Now, it was a really tough game away at Bournemouth earlier in the season, so can Chelsea get the 3 points at Stamford Bridge in the return leg? So in today's video, I'm asking one question: can Enzo Marasca bounce back for Chelsea versus Bournemouth? Not only that, but I'm also covering the latest Chelsea news and predicting Chelsea's starting 11. Did you know that 90% of the people watching this video right now are currently not subscribed to the channel? So make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you're a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. Make sure you join the community, and let's get into the video. So let's kick things off with the latest Chelsea news. Fabrizio Romano has reported that Chelsea are currently only opening the doors to Renato Vega's exit on a permanent deal. He's pushing for a new chapter to play centre-back on regular basis. Borussia Dortmund agreed with Vega. Chelsea also received approaches from top clubs in Italy, France and Premier League sides. Matt Law has reported that Chelsea have not been actively trying to sell Renato Vega, but he is understood to be eager to play more regular football. He also reported that Chelsea value Renato Vega at more than £20 million and are adamant he will only leave the club on a permanent transfer this month. He then explains that Vega is thought to be keen to cement his 2026 World Cup spot with Portugal and may feel he's better chance to do that away from Chelsea. Matt Law also reports that Chelsea have not yet discounted signing Guehi this month, even though it will be difficult and expensive. Football Insider have reported that West Ham United are pushing ahead to sign Chelsea midfielder Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall on a loan with an option to buy. S. Johnson Sport has reported that Chelsea will request a sell-on clause for Vega and have set an asking price of up to £29 million. Enzo Marasca was asked about Renato Vega in his press conference, and he said, "At the moment, I am not aware that there is an agreement for Renato. Yesterday he was here working with us, and today he will be here. At the moment, he is our player. The only thing I can say is that we bought Renato from Basel. He had played in different positions and played well. This has allowed him to be a senior national team for the first time in his life. Even though he is not playing in his position, it means he can do well in the positions he is playing." When it comes to Reece James and Romeo Lavia, Enzo Marasca said, "Yes, we are very happy for both. They played 45 minutes and are available. They are available, and since we started, we are trying to manage both because of their delicate situations." Enzo Marasca also declared that Noni Madueke is back, he is training with us and 100% fit. Enzo Marasca has spoken to Renato Vega and said, "Yes, I had a chat with Renato. I told him the same thing I told you. In terms of playing in the position he is playing for us, it gave him the chance to play for the national team and it caused speculation around him, meaning clubs are looking at him because he is doing well. If there is a player that just wants to play in one position, then they are going to struggle. It is a good thing for the team and for the club." Enzo Marasca spoke on Reece James's position and said, "For sure, fullbacks using in that way, up and down, is probably using more energy for them. I'm not a fan of fullbacks up and down. The fullbacks that we don't use them up and down. The only game we did that was the Palace one, and I'm not a fan of fullbacks up and down. He can play everywhere. Reece is playing in 4 or 5 different positions. Talk about position. For me, football today, you have to be a football player that can play in different positions." Now, I don't know about you Chelsea fans, but the Renato Vega transfer news genuinely shocked me because I thought he was playing incredibly well for the short time that he's been here. He's only been here around 6 months and has had limited minutes, but every time he plays as that Swiss Army knife player, whether it's in that holding 6 role or left back or even centre back at times, he has played fantastic. I'm really hoping that Vega doesn't leave the club, but at the same time, if he does want to go on and get more minutes and the right offer comes in, we know that these owners are going to sell him. And in regards to Reece James and Romeo Lavia, it is good news that they played 45 minutes against Morecambe and they've stayed fit, so we can use them against Bournemouth. It will be very interesting to see how Enzo Marasca really does manage their minutes, whether they're just going to play 45 minutes for most games or if they're going to slowly extend the amount of minutes they can play per match. It was very interesting to see what Enzo Marasca had to say about Reece James's positions and fullbacks going up and down. This is another indicator why Ben Chilwell hasn't been used at all, or only for 1 game in the last 6 months. If that's not the style of play that Enzo Marasca wants to use, and you can't be versatile enough to adapt your game into his systems, then you are just not going to play. But that's it for all the latest news. Let's predict this starting 11. When it comes to this Bournemouth game, I genuinely feel like we may see some dynamics within the squad, because the way we played that Morecambe game, the first half was terrible. Let's not beat around the bush about that. But the second half, it was completely different. And I feel like Enzo Marasca actually played a new system, or a different system. It was slightly adjusted, where we only had one holding midfielder and we basically played a 4-1-4-1. And I think it worked, and it, you know, the quality shone through in that second half, and the fitness levels were a lot different compared to the Morecambe players, etc., which is, you know, to be expected. And we scored some banger goals. I mean, Tosin banging in a double, which is unreal, both from outside the box as well. I know one took a deflection, but regardless of that, we have Reece James, Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez to try and fit into this squad because they're all fit and raring to go. So I'm going to go through this predicted 11 and kind of explain my thoughts and process, because obviously we are going to have Robert Sanchez in goal. As much as we don't like him as Chelsea's number one, fortunately he is. I will say though, Jorgensen had a very shaky game against Morecambe. I was not instilled with confidence after that performance, which surprises me, because most of the times that Jorgensen has played, he has actually played with a lot of confidence, and he might have had the odd shaky moment, but nowhere near as much as what Robert Sanchez does on a weekly basis. However, against Morecambe, mate, I was not filled with confidence. So we're going with Sanchez, and I'm just praying that he has a great game, because at the moment, for Chelsea fans, we have two goalkeepers that are just shaky week in, week out. But, you know, Jorgensen got a clean sheet against Morecambe, so I suppose that does good things for his confidence. Moving on to left back, we're going with Cucurella. I think, if he's fit, he plays. Play him on that left-hand side. When we haven't got right backs, sometimes we play right backs as left back, or when Cucurella isn't available or he's inverting or whatnot, he will be playing left back, in my opinion. The two centre-back pairings, obviously, is going to be Levi Colwell is one of them, and I'm actually going to stick in Tosin. And that is because Badiashile Fofana is still injured. I don't want to see Disasi play for Chelsea again. That's just my personal opinion. Even though I think he played okay against Morecambe. Not the point. I don't think he's of Chelsea's quality, especially in the Premier League. Tosin scored 2 goals against Morecambe, and you could say, yeah, it's only Morecambe, blah, blah, blah. But he showcased that when he figured out halfway through the first half, he was the spare man that could drive forward into space and start creating more and, just driving Morecambe back or taking them long shots, which is sometimes you need to do in a system where we are pinning in the opposition and there's just too many people and, it's such a low block. He scores 2 goals, and I'm not saying that he is going to start scoring worldies every single week, but it does give us a new dynamic, and I thought we had a very good game against Morecambe. He just looked very comfortable, and you've got to be rewarded if you're a centre-back and you scored 2 goals in a game, right? So this is where it gets interesting, that's at right back, because we could either do one of 2 things. We could either start Reece James, and then have Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez in them holding midfield roles. Obviously, Enzo Fernandez would push up when in possession. Reece James would then invert, or Cucurella. Hopefully we invert from the left-hand side. Then Reece James would tuck in as that right centre-back. Or we start the game with Caicedo at right-back, Lavia and Enzo Fernandez in them 6 roles, and then Caicedo inverts, Fernandez goes forward. And then at half-time, you bring off Lavia for Reece James. Caicedo then moves into the holding role. So you've got Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo and Reece James playing right back. And now I've heard myself say that out loud. I think that's what we may actually do. I think we may actually have Caicedo at right back. I think it would work well. Caicedo inverting from right back was unbelievable when he did that. I think it was against Villa and another team. It just can give us a completely different dynamic. Caicedo can play right back very well. How good he is defensively, and obviously him inverting into that midfield role where he absolutely bosses it. I feel like it would be perfect to fit in Caicedo, Lavia and Enzo. Now, there are some people, and me at first, when I first saw this, it can come across very defensive, but I feel like it just gives Enzo Fernandez so much more freedom to go forward and have less defensive work to do, that it just gives us a lot more creativity up in the final thirds. So I feel like we might start the game this way. Caicedo inverting from right back, Lavia and Enzo, and then at half time you take Lazio, you take Lavia off, bring on Reece James, and then Caicedo goes into midfield with Enzo, and Reece James plays at right back. It could even be done in the reverse, where we start with Reece James, Caicedo, and Enzo, and then bring off Reece James in the second half, invert, swap Lavia and Caicedo around. I feel like that is what Enzo Marasca is going to do. But moving on to the left wing, I feel like it will be Jadon Sancho. For a game like this, against the low block, he played against Bournemouth, and mate, he was awesome against Bournemouth, and he was really trying to make a difference. And it was very evident when he came on and when he was playing that he was trying to unlock them all the time. He's just so good at unlocking low blocks. Obviously, in the 10 role, we've got Mr. Cole Palmer. Now, obviously, there is an argument for João Felix needing to get more minutes, and he could obviously play on that left-hand side. He did also score 2 goals against Morecambe and showed off his creativity so much. The versatility of Cucurella means that he can actually overlap and allow João Felix to go inside, or he can invert and kind of force Felix to stay out wide. And he does a very similar thing with Jadon Sancho. You kind of have moments where Sancho's drifting in, not as much as someone like Felix, who naturally is more of a central style player rather than an out-and-out winger. But I feel like Sancho will get his turn because there's a couple-day turnover from the game. Felix got his 90 minutes. You never know. It could be a Sancho for Felix swap in the second half. And there's two ways of looking at it. I feel like Sancho's fully rested, raring to go, and it is a left winger out and out. So, yeah, why not stick him out there? But you've also got Felix, who did score 2 goals in the previous game, who's going to, feel like he deserves to start the next match. I don't know. I feel like I'd be happy with either to start, but I just personally see Sancho starting. And then when it comes to the right wing, I'd love to say Pedro Neto, but we know he doesn't play more than He doesn't play more than 1 game in a week. So I feel like it's going to be Noni Madueke, who is now fit and 100% ready in the squad. Enzo Marasca has announced it in his press conference. And I feel like, again, Noni Madueke has got a point to prove. I felt like he got very comfortable being in the first team, kind of week in, week out, no one challenging him. And he was playing well, and he kind of dipped off. And obviously he's been dropped from the squad, then comes back in, makes an impact. And then he's been ill, so he's not been in the squad again. You've got people like Tyreek George, very, very raw player, but showing bags of potential and loads of ability. Had a fantastic game against Morecambe, but you could still see he's quite raw. And I mean, you could play Pedro Neto if he stays fit. I feel like he did okay. But I feel like this type of game would need someone like Noni Madueke personally. That is where I would go. Noni Madueke on the right, Sancho on the left, Palmer through the middle. And then when it comes to the number 9, there is only one man for that, because I will explain why. It has to be Jackson. He is our main number 9 right now. And a lot of people are like, oh, he's not good enough and Nkunku needs more minutes. You should play Guiu, give him more minutes. I feel like Guiu does deserve more minutes. And I feel like he will start getting more substitute appearances for sure. Don't think he's ready enough to start in the Premier League. I'll be brutally honest, I'm a massive fan of Guiu, and I love Nkunku. I genuinely do. One of my favourite players. Nkunku is not a 9. You can tell by his body language. He doesn't like playing up there. And when he does, he's not as effective. It's a different dynamic. And I don't think we're quite used to finishing off chances as well with Nkunku as that focal point. He likes to play in that 10 role, or drop in as a false 9. And I just don't think it works as well. Mark Guiu, he played against Morecambe. I forgot he was on the pitch. I'm not expecting the world from an 18-year-old, and I'm not expecting him to go bang himself a hat-trick because it's a League 2 opposition. You've still got to play these games. Different opposition, you can only play who's in front of you. However, I forgot he was on the pitch. And I wasn't impressed with Nkunku, really. I mean, he had a good game, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't overly impressed. It was like, this is what I expect from you. So I feel like Jackson's rested. He does need to bounce back with the goal for sure, because he's on a little bit of a goal drought right now. So I'm hoping that at home to Bournemouth, we can have a Palmer-Jackson link-up, Sancho-Jackson link-up, Madueke-Jackson link-up. I don't care who links up with him. Another screamer from Tosin. That is who I would go with as my starting 11. But like I said, I feel like the second half, we could essentially change this up, have Reece James in there as well, take Lavia off, protect him. So they're both still getting minutes. And we can change up the wingers as well. Pedro Neto, if he's still fit and available. We've also got João Felix who can play there, and Nkunku can kind of play on that left-hand side. I'm not a big fan of it, but he can do that. Or, potentially push Palmer out to the right-hand side, bring João Felix in the middle, so you have Palmer on the right, Felix in the middle, someone like Sancho on the left. There are a lot of options, but this is what I feel like Enzo Marasca will do tomorrow against Bournemouth. So that's my predicted Chelsea 11 to face Bournemouth at Stamford Bridge this Tuesday night. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I love having a conversation with you guys. Now, I personally think it's going to be a very tough game to play Bournemouth, because they're going to come to Stamford Bridge, sit back, soak up as much of the pressure as possible, and really make it hard for Chelsea. But I do feel like we can get the 3 points. And if you have watched this far to the end of the video, there'll be a thumbnail pops up on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.